Hey, come here. You like pro wrestling? We got a little something for you. Two fans, 3,000 miles away. We each been watching for more than 30 years. Celebrate the art form, the action, the homoeroticism. We ain't rating matches. We ain't analyzing stories. We ain't experts. We just sit down, shut up, and mark out! It's another edition of Sit Down, Shut Up, Mark Out. And I'm Blade Daly, joined by my co-host, my ace, my Joshi G, the greatest Canadian pro wrestling podcaster in the history of pro wrestling podcasts. The best there is, the best there was, the best there ever will be. Joshi G. I did that backwards, and you know what? I kind of liked it.
I liked it. I Blade. Hello.
Yeah, that's right. You gave me the Booker T intro.
I Blade. Yes, I need to just spin around. Yes. How are you doing, friendo?
Yeah, you guys didn't see this, but Joshi actually did a spin-a-rooney as she said I Blade. So,
and I almost hurt myself.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we're getting older. I mean, you do a good spin-a-rooney, I will say that. But
thank you, I Blade.
Yeah, it's way better than mine. But yeah, we're back. It's another weekend that people are hearing this, or the week after the weekend, moving into another weekend after that, and then a week after that, and then a weekend after that, and then a week after that, and a weekend, and a week, and week, and week. That's how time works.
So many weekends.
It really is a lot. Life is a series of weeks moving into weekends. That's what I always say.
I agree.
Joshi, what have you been up to?
What have I been up to? I've been watching a lot of Beavis and Butthead.
Tell us about it.
I decided I wanted to rewatch it. Mm-hmm. When I was a kid, I didn't get MTV.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't get to watch all the episodes. And I just felt like rewatching them. And oh my God, they're still really funny. I love that they incorporate music on the show, and you get to watch all these music videos from the 80s and 90s. Mm-hmm. Some of them are terrible. Some of them are great. I love seeing Pantera on Beavis and Butthead, one of my favorite metal bands ever. So it was just really, really cool, man. Like, MTV was awesome back in the day. It's a shame that it's changed so much. Blending different mediums together was so neat. I really miss that. So I've been doing that. I've been watching wrestling. I watched most of Battle in the Valley.
Mm-hmm.
I still have, I believe, 2 matches left. So yeah, watching wrestling, watching Beavis and Butthead. That's pretty much it for me. I haven't been doing anything too crazy. How about you, iBlade? What have you been doing?
Well, I've been doing nothing, so I have a Beavis and Butthead story instead. So when I was a kid, there was this story in the United States about this kid who had burned down his trailer home because he had been watching Beavis and Butthead, and Beavis is like, fire, you know? And so this kid lit his trailer home on fire and burned it to the ground. This was the only time in my entire life my parents were like, you know what, you're not allowed to watch this.
Oh, no.
Which was like, I was like 14. I'm like, guys, this is Bush League. So when Beavis and Butthead would come on, I'd be like, you know, I need to go to my friend's house for a little while. Yeah. I just go to his house. We just watch it there. It lasted for like 2 weeks, but still, it was the only really reactionary thing my parents ever did. But it was the worst ban of Beavis and Butthead in the history of Beavis and Butthead bans. So just like D&D, we have B&B, and it's happening. Do you see how it's happening, Joshi?
It is happening. I just love that they assume everything's going to be cool, and then they do something really idiotic, and they say, "Oh, this sucks." Of course it sucks. It's really stupid what you're doing here. On one episode, they said, "Screaming is really cool."
I mean, they say so many terribly stupid things. I think that I was one of the kids who was, I think I was 12 or 13 when that show started. And I remember I started to kind of talk like Butthead because I watched too much of the show. And there were so many dudes my age who kind of did that. They kind of had a little element of that to them. And I couldn't stop doing it for a long time. So I had a girlfriend when I was like 14-ish. And, I don't know how long we were seeing each other, maybe for like a couple weeks, a month, something like that. And I would go over to her parents' house and they literally called me Butthead because I talked like Butthead. And I had to unlearn how to, the brain rot was real back then, the Beavis and Butthead brain rot. And so I had to teach myself how not to talk that way because it bothered me so much. So yeah, Beavis and Butthead, man, that was like early mid 90s, big time.
Well, I don't blame you. I'm rewatching Beavis and Butthead and I can't help but talk like it. It's just, he's so ridiculous. And
it is.
Everything's so cool. Or that's stupid.
Cool.
That sucks.
Cool. Yeah. I can't remember which episode it was, but they were watching, because who wears the Metallica shirt?
Oh man, I think it's hold on.
Beavis, I think, wears the Metallica shirt.
Beavis.
And then Butthead wears the AC/DC shirt.
Yeah.
So they're watching.
Yeah.
So they're watching this show.
Yeah.
They're watching this music video, and it's "Sad But True" by Metallica. And Butthead goes, "James Hetfield looks like the Cowardly Lion." And then Beavis is like, "Shut up, Butthead!" Like, he starts getting super defensive, and then Butthead's like, "Metallica sucks. Alice in Chains rules."
Hey. Whoa, there. Metallica sucks.
Yeah. Well, he's just trying to piss Beavis off.
Of course.
It was hilarious, but good times. Good times. I'm glad Beavis and Butthead have just you watching Beavis and Butthead. I haven't even watched it.
You need to. It's on Pluto TV.
It's enlivened us both.
Yeah. I just love that Beavis. Like, whenever Butthead says something, he goes, yeah. He just goes with whatever Butthead says.
Yes, he does. He does.
Even if he doesn't understand what he's talking about,
He mostly doesn't understand what he's talking
exactly.
about. And they also don't appear to do drugs. One of my favorite episodes, I do remember, they cut their hair and then they glue it to their face to try and look older. Like they have beards.
Yeah. Oh my God. Oh,
fucking wild, man. Fucking wild. You know what else is wild, Joshi? We got to start the show off on a bit of a... The Dreamer has died, folks. Am I the Dreamer or Am I the Dream is a very popular narrative point in Twin Peaks. And
yes.
The creator of that dream, David Lynch, one of the greatest visual artists of the 20th and 21st centuries, died yesterday on Thursday. Joshi and I have just talked on the phone for hours at a time about our shared love of David Lynch and his work. David Lynch, in a world where people can't even distinguish what sarcasm is or satire is anymore, David Lynch was completely unafraid to be completely misunderstood. Like, he didn't give a fuck. I remember there was something, I can't even remember what he said, but he made a statement and somebody was like, "Do you care to elaborate on that?" And he goes, "No."
Yes, he did that a few times.
Yeah. No, I love it. He just doesn't explain himself. He doesn't feel the need to explain himself. His work is complex, it's nuanced, it's layered. I don't think I always completely perfectly understand what he was trying to say, but I feel I take a message from it that matters to me and makes me. And that's kind of my feeling about art. It's not really always that important for you to understand exactly what I, the artist, mean. What's important is that you take something important for yourself from it. And that's the gift that art gives you. And David Lynch gave that over and over and over again. Joshi, please, your thoughts.
Oh, I'm completely devastated by this. I love David Lynch so much. I loved his use of surrealism in his movies and television shows. Yes, he was very abstract at times, and you had to, as you said, interpret it in your own way. You know, like Twin Peaks: The Return. There were episodes where you just had to come to terms with whatever it meant to you. You know, he wasn't going to tell you what certain episodes meant. It's up to you to decide, hey, okay, well, this is my interpretation. And I like that he never apologized for being abstract and that he fought for his art. You don't get to see as many movies these days and television shows that are surreal and that are bold, that try something new and that just focus on a different type of art. And what I admire so much about David Lynch is that even when Twin Peaks was airing, they wanted, they as in the network, they wanted David Lynch to reveal who killed Laura Palmer. And he was really upset because he felt rushed. His intention was not to reveal ever like who killed her, and they pushed him, and I remember he was yelling. There was an interview with him, and he was, you know, he said, this is bullshit, this is art, I shouldn't feel rushed. And you know what, at first I thought, whoa, David Lynch's got a temper, like when I first watched that YouTube video. But now I tell myself, you know what, I applaud him. He never wanted to just settle. It's like that was his vision. And he didn't want anyone to filter it. He didn't want anyone to play around with it. He didn't want to feel rushed. And how many directors, writers can say that? You know, they don't have the, I don't want to say they don't have the strength, but I feel with David Lynch, he did not take no as an answer. And that's freaking awesome. Art is really important and it's subjective. And I also love the fact that he was into meditation and all that, and very spiritual. Twin Peaks is one of my favorite shows of all time.
It's my favorite.
It's such a masterpiece. Mulholland Drive is one of my favorite movies of all time. Mine too. It's just, man, you know, like even when you look at season 2 of Twin Peaks, he, I think it was in the middle of the season, he wasn't involved in it anymore because he was just fed up with the network.
That was season 2, yeah. So they made him reveal who killed Laura Palmer. Yeah. And he left. He left the country. Yeah. And David Frost wrote like 10 episodes of the show that were horrible.
Horrible.
What's funny about Twin Peaks is that it's 3 seasons long, and half of one of those seasons is really bad, and it's my favorite show of all time because it's that good when it's good.
Yeah.
It's incredible. And you can always tell when Lynch had a big hand in the telling of the story because it just hits on this totally different level. You made a great point, Joshi, that I would just like to elaborate on for a minute before we dive into some things that we're burning to talk about, baby. Art is so important. And we live in this time where having content is more important than having a point. And having just constantly churning out crap is valued more than actually having something to say. And David Lynch was a man with something to say. He was a man with a point to make and a man with a spiritual imperative, right? He was divinely inspired. He wasn't a content creator. He was a fucking artist. And we live in this world that degrades art constantly by calling it content. It's not content, it's art. Those are different things. The point of art is to explore yourself and give people a way to explore themselves, right? That's the point of art.
I completely agree with you, iBlade.
And Lynch gave that to us over and over again.
He did. And another thing that I really respect about David Lynch is that he was aware that life doesn't always make sense. And so for him, well, if life doesn't always make sense, why do my TV shows and my movies have to make perfect sense? You know? And I like that. It's a shame that that kind of attitude is kind of frowned upon now, because I miss those movies that were really artsy and took risks and whatnot. And I just hope that surrealism continues. I'm really sad, because I had a feeling that the return was going to be the last of Twin Peaks, but there was always the possibility that maybe we get something else, and now we won't. So
No.
we have to come to terms with that. But yeah, like I just hope that artists look at him as an inspiration and fight for their art like he did, and forget about content. It's art, and like push for it, fight it, and don't let anybody tell you what your art should mean.
Fuck content. Find meaning. Find meaning.
Yeah.
Human beings are meaning machines. As far as we know, we're the only people, the only inhabitants of the universe that require, but why? Why did that happen? Right?
Mm-hmm.
We're the only ones asking those questions, okay? We're the only ones who care.
Yeah.
And David Lynch helped us find meaning and fed the meaning machines very, very well. And I am so in debt to him for the gift of his art. And I wish him safe and peaceful travels. Till the next time, buddy.
Same here. And like David Lynch would say, keep your eye on the donut, not on the hole. We love you, David Lynch.
Love you, David. All right. Well, it is time now to dig into something wrestling related. We are a wrestling podcast after all. And when a hero of the art world goes, we have to acknowledge that. But there's something else we have to acknowledge, Joshi G, and might not be everybody's favorite thing to talk about, but we are going to, and we're going to be constructive, okay? Friends, AEW is not perfect, and it never will be. It never has been. It wasn't in 2021, no matter whatever these rose-colored glasses motherfuckers out there tell you. Okay? AEW currently is doing some shit that sucks, in my opinion. Okay? And the number one thing that they're doing that I don't care for is this back to this weird formula of booking women's wrestling with like kind of this cookie cutter mentality that is unacceptable to me. They have on paper the best women's division in the United States. Okay. Like, I'm not going to compare them to Stardom. Okay. But like, short of Stardom, they have the best roster in the world, in my opinion, when you look at the raw talent. Okay. You have Mercedes Moné. You have Chris Statlander. You have Toni Storm. You have Mariah May. You have Mina Shirakawa, soon to probably be AEW Mina Shirakawa. You have Hikaru Shida. You have, the list goes on and on and on. Okay. You have young talents. You have older talents. You have Queen Aminata. You got Ty Mello, who's starting to come back to, into the business. You have Athena, for Christ's sake, who's not even on Dynamite. You have about 40 women under contract, and they get to wrestle one match on Dynamite and one match on Collision. That wasn't the case at times last year, but it has reverted back to that consistently, and it's unacceptable. And this week presented the perfect opportunity for us to criticize that, okay? Because earlier... So what had been announced for this week was the return of Kenny Omega, right? And a women's gauntlet match. And Jon Moxley was going to defend the world title against Will Hobbs, okay? Now, personally, I saw Kenny's return match, okay? I was the most excited to see the women's gauntlet because it's the first one ever. When they do a men's gauntlet, it kicks off the show. And it usually goes for somewhere close to 30 minutes. Maybe longer even. The women didn't go on till 6:30, which would be 9:30 Eastern, with a half hour left in the show, and they weren't the main event. That has never happened with a men's gauntlet match. It either goes first or last so that it can go as long as it needs to. But right around the top of the hour, around 6 p.m., Jeff Jarrett comes out. And look, guys, I like Jeff, okay? I do. I like him as an on-screen personality. I like him on his podcast because he seems very earnest. He seems like a guy who's really gotten his shit together in life, and I respect that. I don't want Jeff Jarrett, 56, 57-year-old Jeff Jarrett, anywhere fucking near the AEW world title. And that's what he's talking about on Dynamite for the last several weeks. And he's cut off almost immediately by MJF, who comes out. They have a little back and forth about, MJF says the edgy things you'd expect him to say. Every promotion you ever wrestled in is dead, which I thought was a good burn. And Jarrett's just kind of laughing and shaking his head. And then MJF does kind of ticks all the MJF boxes, and finally he gets to the one you always knew he was going to get to. He starts talking about Karen Jarrett, implying that she's a slut. And because she used to be married to Kurt Angle, makes a really disgusting comment about, I'm going to basically have sex with your wife so that you can know what Kurt Angle's balls and my balls taste like, or whatever he said. It was just so childish and pathetic. That alone. And then Jeff, in an effort to match him, proceeds to call MJF's mom a whore. Talks about all the wrestlers who've ganged up on his mom and stuff. And then starts talking about MJF's girlfriend and calls her a Canadian call girl. This is a woman who's known. Everybody knows who's in the IWC knows who Alicia Atout is, right? And I don't believe she's that's neither here nor there, right? And you've just got this misogyny party going on, and it goes on and on and on for 10 minutes, 12, 15 minutes. I don't even know how long.
Almost 15.
And you've still got 3 matches that need to happen. And one of them is this casino gauntlet for the women. The women end up getting about 13 and a half minutes, give or take, for their gauntlet match. The men's the week before got 27 minutes. I've seen people say stuff like, well, it's not about the time. It's about the stories. It's about this. It's about that. It was a good match. And what did you want? What did you want cut from the show? Well, how about that fucking promo segment with MJF and Jeff Jarrett? Did that even need to happen at all? And if it did, couldn't it have been 5 minutes long tops? Also, Christian and Hook wrestled for 15 minutes after that match that ended with a fuck finish, a DQ. You're telling me that had to happen that way? It couldn't have been a 5 minutes and then the screw job happened? So that the women between MJF and Christian and Hook, being both of those shortened, you couldn't have had a 25-minute women's match? You could have, easily. You have too much talent on this roster that is not being featured. That's even true in the men's division, and they get 90% of the TV time. So it's a problem everywhere, but the women's division, there's 40 women under contract, and there's one spot on each show that they can wrestle in. How can you have feuds? How can you have stories? You can't. And I don't want to hear the excuse that it's Warner Brothers Discovery's making AEW do it this way. I don't want to hear that the lowest rated episodes are the ones with 2 women's matches. That's bullshit. I don't believe it. And even if that is true, that's the investment you make up front to get the return later. You have to have these people on TV so that they can be stars. Now, do I hate AEW? No. I hate this about AEW. I don't like this element of AEW and their presentation. When I know that they have so much talent back there, they had a chance to show off a bunch of them, and they got 13 minutes to have a very good match that could have been great with more time. Joshi?
Well, it's frustrating. You know, when it comes to the women's division, it's insane to me that they have about 40 women signed, and we don't even get to see half of them on television. It doesn't make any sense. Look, the Casino Gauntlet match, it was very good. No one's saying that it wasn't a great match. Mm-hmm. And that, and some people say, well, it's quality over quantity. I don't agree with that. It's like, yeah, and the thing about the women is they always give us quality, though. So why can't they get more time? What people don't understand, the people that make these kind of comments where they say, but it's quality over quantity. What they don't understand is we got quality. Hence why we want to see more of the women, because the quality of their matches are so freaking good that we want to see more of them. That it's not freaking rocket science. When you are really impressed by certain wrestlers, you expect to see them more on TV, no? I think that's common sense. With the women, they only focus on Mercedes and Toni Storm.
And Mariah to a degree.
And Mariah too.
She's the world champion, by the way.
To a degree. And she doesn't always feel like the world champion because of the position that they put her in.
Right.
A couple of years ago, we were all saying, it's always Brit, it's always Brit. Now it's always the same 2 or 3 people. Mm-hmm. It doesn't make any sense when you have a stacked division like that. Where's Queen Amanada? I don't know. Where's Thunder Rosa? I get it. She lost to Mariah May. So what? She can't wrestle anymore? Diana and Taya Valkyrie. Why aren't they beating up a bunch of women backstage? They're supposed to be mobsters. I don't see that at all. Mm-hmm. Okay? And they better give us another Gauntlet match really soon with like freaking 14 or 20 participants. They freaking better, because when they showed their video package last week on Collision for the Casino Gauntlet match, you saw Rosa, you saw Diana, you saw Taya, you saw Riho, you saw Shida. None of these women were in the Gauntlet match on Wednesday. None of them. So again, this isn't about, just be grateful that the women are putting on a really great match. No, I want more. These women can do so much more. And the thing that I don't understand when it comes to Tony Khan is, does he just look at Raw and SmackDown and see that the women only get one match there, and he thinks, okay, well, you know what? Let's do the same with Dynamite and Collision, because they're not giving the ladies more. You shouldn't think like that. I don't know where Amanada is. I don't know where Lady Frost is. Trisha Dora. I have no idea what the heck is going on here. But it's not, it's not working. And it's like, if you want to be different from WWE, you want to stand out, give the woman more freaking time, man. Like, come on.
Yeah.
My next point, Jeff Jarrett, MJF, that segment. I hated that segment, okay?
Me too.
The fact that we're in 2025, they both seem pathetic, right? By the way, I'm not saying Jeff Jarrett looked good and MJF looked bad. They both look bad, okay? In 2025, saying that a wrestler's mother is a slut, a wrestler's sister is a whore, a wrestler's girlfriend is a call girl. Excuse me, I don't find any of those kind of remarks funny, okay? MJF is exactly the same as he was in 2019. He should evolve right now, okay? Ever since they put MJF back with Adam Cole, I haven't been feeling MJF at all. That can be salvaged, but they better do it soon. Jeff Jarrett, I'm sorry, Jeff Jarrett is not Stink, okay? I don't want him taking up 15 minutes of TV every freaking week. I don't want him to be the world champion. At least with Sting, they put him with Darby, and he never overshadowed Darby. Never. He didn't even want a title Sting. He was so freaking selfless. He was always with Darby on TV. He didn't speak a lot. You know, he was there to elevate Darby out. Jeff Jarrett, I don't know what the hell they're thinking, but just because he got a good crowd reaction last year doesn't mean that we want him to win the world title and we want him on TV for 20 minutes every week. Like, no, it's actually gotten to the point where I'm starting to dislike Jeff Jarrett again. So I hope Tony sees here that he's making a really big mistake. Mm-hmm. And lastly, I don't want to see a bunch of older wrestlers on Dynamite and Collision. And that's what I felt we got on Dynamite. We got Jeff Jarrett, we got Christian Cage, we got Adam Copeland. That's too many, okay? It's like you want to be different from WWE, you focus on your younger talent more. I don't mind older talent being there to help others to elevate, but when they're making the show about them, I'm not okay with that.
Well, you want to avoid that WCW TNA stigma, right? Of having these guys who can't work, especially in AEW. This is the highest work rate company of all in American history, at the very least, right? And, you know, the guys like Jericho and Jeff Jarrett look real old compared to the younger guys, okay? They can't move like those guys can.
No.
And look, I have respect for Jeff Jarrett ultimately, but I don't want him anywhere fucking near the world title. Like, that's ridiculous. Unless it's like a 1 week angle, you know, that you announce the match next week and he gets murdered and it's over, you know?
A squash match. Absolutely.
Right. That's where I was hoping it was going to go. That's why I didn't say something sooner. Okay. But that's the first part. AEW this last week felt like a show made for 13-year-old boys, and that is not a show I want to watch. Your mom's a whore, you know? Fuck that shit. Like, misogyny is bullshit. Nobody needs to do that to be a heel anymore. Samoa Joe, his entire heel run, he didn't say anything misogynistic. Christian Cage has been, you know, he's like teased, oh, your mom thinks I'm pretty handsome or whatever, but he never called her a whore. You know what I mean? Like, it's MJF's character is becoming lazy and uninspired, and it's not the booking, it's him. Like, expand your playbook, dude.
Well, I think someone needs to tell him, stop with the calling out women. You know, it's not working. And also, they need to tell him this is the maximum of amount of time that you're going to get for your promo or your segment. They need to start doing that. It's not fair that time got taken away from the first ever Women's Casino Gauntlet match because, and I'm pretty sure the reason is because MJF and Jarrett hogged so much freaking time. That's not fair. Mm-hmm. And also, I really, really didn't like that the women were in that freaking 9:30 spot.
Well, and especially because you put a Casino Gauntlet match in, knowing that Mox and Hobbs have to wrestle afterwards. So, you know the match can't be that long.
Exactly.
It's not doing justice to the women at all. You know, and there was a big exciting thing that happened in that match that we should be talking about first, and we are going to talk about it in our next segment, but we got to finish this. So, Joshi, you touched on the point I wanted to make, which is I go on social media and I voice my displeasure with the fact that the women clearly got shorted. I know several women that I'm friends with online did as well. Okay. The replies to me were completely different than the replies I saw women getting. You know, this quality over quantity bullshit. Fuck you. Okay. That's bullshit. Okay. This little edgelord incel energy that people bring to the women in these comments. Fuck off. You cowardly little shits. Okay. But more so, the fan base of AEW is so used to dickheads like Bischoff and Bully Ray and all these people shitting all over AEW, right? And having to defend them from really shitty, unfair criticism. So much so that they have lost their ability to ingest constructive criticism. Okay? So I'm going to say when I think AEW has something they need to improve because I love AEW and I want it to be better. You can be mad at AEW and love AEW all at the same time, folks. It's not hard.
There are things that they can do better.
There is. And there's things they're doing really well.
Yeah,
okay?
Absolutely.
And we're going to talk about those things too, but here's the thing. I'm no longer going to start every criticism I make of AEW by I love AEW, but. Okay? That should be understood.
Mm-hmm.
I host a podcast that is largely AEW centered. Joshi hosts a podcast that is largely AEW centered. Okay? If you listen to this podcast, you love AEW. So when we critique it, that's all it is. We want it to be better. We're going to watch next week. But the women need to be represented fairly with some sense of equity. Like that's a must now. No more bullshit. I don't care who the directive comes from. If it's from WBD or if it's a Tony Khan call. I hate when Tony books for ratings. I hate it. The show did a good rating and I was bummed because honestly, I don't want AEW to be less quality, more ratings. Okay? I want AEW to be that alternative to WWE.
I agree with you. Look, if they're gonna have Jarrett and MJF hog time and say complete garbage on Dynamite, and they're gonna have the woman only get one match, maybe a segment just for ratings, that's not cool with me at all.
No.
You shouldn't, like Tony Khan, he shouldn't just be thinking about ratings here. You know,
right.
He has a lot of talent on the roster. AEW is supposed to be the company where veterans help the young wrestlers. It should not be the opposite. And right now, I'm not saying in all cases, but I can think of a couple of examples where the older, like the vets, they're just taking up way too much time.
I agree. We're going to hit the music, friends. And when we do, we're going to come back because something really fucking cool happened on Dynamite that we haven't talked about yet. Cannot wait to get to that. You ready, Joshi? You ready to dive into Megasis?
Hell yeah. Let's do this. So, we got that amazing women's gauntlet match on Dynamite, and it started off with Chris Stylander and Jamie Hayter. I was already super excited because I love both ladies, and I was glued to my screen saying, oh my god, they're both so big and beating the crap out of each other.
Yeah.
Then, number 3 comes out, and you're already getting like the Greek goddess vibes.
Yep.
From the entrance music and the fire and all that. So I'm thinking, oh, I think it's Megan Bayne. And she comes out looking like a beautiful Greek goddess, freaking gorgeous Amazon.
Yes.
And I'm just thinking, oh my god, she looks incredible. The aura, her aura was off the charts.
Mm-hmm.
She felt like a really big deal.
Yeah.
You know, like she's going to be a huge star.
I think she's bigger than China.
She might be bigger than China. Absolutely crazy how cute she is. And so she gets in the ring and she squares off with Chris Stylander for a while. And
makes Stat look small.
She made Stat look small. She made Jamie look small. She made Willow look small.
Yeah.
She is humongous. And what's funny is that I had watched some of her matches in Stardom last year. And she was mainly with Micah at that point. And I thought to myself, okay, she looks like a freaking giant in Stardom. But mind you, their roster is a little bit on the shorter side, right? So I thought, maybe it's because, petite, right? So I thought, maybe she just looks like a freaking giant compared to them. But no, she is a legitimate giant. And actually, when she was in Stardom, I was really impressed with her wrestling, with her growth. But man, seeing her on Dynamite, pulling all these moves and showing off that strength of hers, she has progressed a lot. Like, not just a little, a lot.
She has come so far. I saw her wrestle in Dark years ago.
Yes.
I knew she had been under contract up until last year, and then I thought that she was a free agent for some reason, and it was mystifying me, like, why isn't she in WWE then? Because she's right up their alley, you know? And now it's been reported that she was under contract the whole time with AEW. That at least explains why she didn't show up in WWE, because they would have been insane not to go after her.
Oh,
she makes Tessa Blanchard, like, but like, Tessa looks tiny compared to her too, okay?
Oh, yeah.
She would dwarf Charlotte Flair, who's a very tall, you know, stacked athlete, you know? Her moves were so crisp. Her and Statlander had incredible chemistry.
Singles match.
Absolutely. I can't wait to see Megan Bayne fight all of them. Like, this is a woman that I want to see run wild in AEW. Now, this is why that criticism from earlier is so important, guys. Okay? Again, in the effort to make AEW better, signing somebody this exciting and good doesn't really mean anything if they're going to compete for one match on 2 shows, right? Like, we need to see her a lot. That's how she, you know, she looks like a star. She has that star presence. She's not a star yet. Okay. Got to make her a star. So we need more segments for women. We need more. I think there should be more intergender factions. I don't really understand why there's so few of those. Mm-hmm. I will say NXT and WWE in general actually do that better. I hate to say that, but they do. You know, look at Rhea Ripley. Look at she, you know, she's one of the faces of that company now. And she's the only woman in her faction, but she's like the leader of her faction, or she was like the leader of her faction for a long time, you know? And so Megan Bayne, a huge aura, her skills are incredible. This lady's been working in Stardom. You know, she's been working with the best wrestlers in the world and hanging with them. So she can go. This is a very exciting development for the women's division. And I want to see more of this division on my TV because it's some of the most exciting stuff happening in AEW is in the women's division.
I think that could be a possible solution. Feature as many women as possible on TV. Put them in factions. It seems like Tony, that's his answer for the men, but with the woman, it should be the same thing. You know?
Yeah.
Like Mercedes should have a faction. Vendetta shouldn't just be 2 women. There should be quite a few.
Right.
The solutions are right there in front of you.
Right.
It's not complicated. So yeah, I think women's factions, that would be really great. And then you can have multi-woman tag matches. Like, why not? You know, I definitely would like to see more Gauntlet matches though. But yeah, like feature the woman more.
But do a 6-woman tag. Do a do a 8-woman tag. Do a fatal 4-way match. Do those multi-women matches so that you get more of these people on TV and have a singles match somewhere on the show. You know, Shawn Michaels is being hailed from every corner of the internet right now for the way he's booking NXT. He's booking women basically 50-50 with the men. Mm-hmm. It can be done. They are drawing ratings. It can be done. So I don't want to hear the excuses anymore. But at the same time, I think the answers are right there. This is why critique is so important, because AEW is actually very responsive when we offer criticisms. So if you got, as some of you, it's just some of you, it's not all of you, but if some of you could be a little less defensive and realize this criticism is well intended and coming from a good place because we love this product and we want it to get better, we could probably get our way. We're the consumers of this product. It's not the other way around. They're not doing us a favor. We're doing them a favor. We employ these people. We're the reason AEW exists. So our say-so has power. Just remember that, that's all. That's all. The AEW women's division is absolutely top notch. I just want to see it get the respect it deserves. You ready to move on, Joshi?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, now that we've established that misogyny in wrestling is bullshit, that Megan Bayne is amazing, that the AEW women are amazing, there were two things that were pretty amazing from a show that happened 7 days ago. And what was that, Joshi?
I enjoyed Mariah versus Harley on Collision a lot. I thought it was a very good match.
Super fun.
Yeah, Mariah's awesome. This is why it's a little bit annoying that she's not featured more, because she is so good. She's such a badass, terrific wrestler, amazing character work, excellent on the mic. And Harley, I gotta give it to her. She just keeps getting better and better. The fans chant her name now.
She is so committed to wrestling.
Yeah.
I'm like, how is this woman even in wrestling? She's so good at so many things.
Yeah. She's good.
She could be an actress. She could be a huge crossover star. It won't surprise me if she's not wrestling for a super long time, because she is so charismatic,
So much charisma.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a really strong match, and I really loved Garcia versus Shibata. I thought that was the match of the night.
You give our boy Shibata 15 minutes with anyone.
He's so good.
Just give it, just one 15-minute Shibata match a month will make me such a happy boy.
Yeah, me too. He is too good not to use regularly.
And him and Danny have incredible chemistry.
Magic. It was absolute magic.
One of the things that happened on Dynamite that I thought was cool was Samoa Joe returned. And it looks like they are going back to that Samoa Joe, Hook, and Shibata faction that I thought was magic before it ended. I just want them to dismantle the learning tree, just kill them and end it. But I'm really looking forward to that stable being back together, because Shibata interacting with Google Translate with Samoa Joe was just incredible stuff.
I can't wait for the Pulp Fiction.
Oh yeah, the Pulp Fiction promos are so good. I really miss Samoa Joe. I'm actually, he was the world champion when he left. I'm so glad he's back. He is a huge addition back to AEW. That was a highlight there. We can't not mention the return of the cleaner. Kenny Omega made his Dynamite return, his first match on Dynamite in over a year. Kenny came back, had a match with Brian Cage that I thought was pretty good. There were a couple, Kenny didn't look quite as crisp as he did in New Japan on a few things that he did. And that's to be expected, He
was out for a while.
He was out for a long ass time. Okay. And Kenny is trying to do the shit like he's been doing it this whole time, and he hasn't. So there were just a couple things where he looked a little rustier than I'm used to seeing him, but that's okay. It's no big deal. It was a very fun match. I would say it was if I rated with stars, it's like a 3.5 star match. It was a lot of fun. And by the way, Kenny's hair is extra nice right now.
He has beautiful hair. Everything
my God, just going super long.
Yeah.
That look works for Kenny.
I love the ponytail. Everything about Kenny is beautiful. So
I still miss Devil Sky.
I know, I miss it too. But honestly, him being back, what a freaking huge difference. I do miss his music though.
Yes, Dynamite feels different with Kenny on it. I mean, just you have the best in the world when Kenny's on your show. I do like it in his music where it's like, oh, my God.
Right, yeah. I like that too.
So that was great. That was a lot of fun. And then we got the return of Ricochet. They're in this small venue. I can't remember the name of the place right now, in Cincinnati. The venue looked awesome. Keep finding places like this. They sold it out. It looked great on TV. I noticed that they could get different angles in this place because it was a smaller venue. So the hard cam wasn't like as integral to the show as it usually is. They got more of the camera angles that New Japan gets because they could shoot from every angle. And because they weren't worried about showing a bunch of empty seats. And it just looked awesome. Ricochet could not get a word in. Like, this crowd booed the fuck out of him. The Don Callis treatment. They just booed and booed and booed and booed. And Ricochet is playing into it like a master. I had no idea this guy had this in him at all. Like, Ricochet is going to be a top heel. He already is, kind of. He gets, and as he starts to talk, the fucking man, Prince Nana, shows up from behind, hits him with a chair, and immediately starts swerving. After he's hit him with a chair, he starts doing the swerve dance immediately. Swerve comes out with the chain. You know some shit is about to go down. Ricochet runs. Swerve follows. Ricochet runs into the cold. You could see when the door opened that it was like rain snowing in Cincinnati. So it was cold, and that's how bad Ricochet wanted to get away. This man is a heat magnet right now. So once again, to the dirt sheet experts, especially you, Shmai and Schmalvarez, they did not bury Ricochet. He's thriving. He's doing great.
I love what Ricochet's doing right now. He's such a great heel. I love that he didn't even really have to talk. He just came out and the fans booed him for like 3 minutes. And then he said, a picture is worth 1,000 words. And he shows that photo of what he did to Swerve a couple of weeks ago. And then right away you hear Swerve's music. And I just love the way Prince Nana attacked Ricochet and did his little dance. And of course, when Swerve came out, he looked like such a freaking badass. Swerve is so freaking awesome.
And then lastly, I think it deserves mentioning. And this match, in fairness, I will say this match felt a bit rushed as well. Moxley and Hobbs had a great match, really, really hard-hitting match. Moxley clearly wants to get Hobbs put in a spotlight. They booked Hobbs like a monster in this match in a way they never quite have before. He kind of was almost booked like a superhero, like the Death Riders kept interfering and he kicked out of everything. He kicked out of Moxley's finisher. He kicked out of everything. And Mox does put him down by choking him out eventually. But he just survived by the skin of his teeth, basically. I like this booking of Hobbs. It's just this unstoppable monster. What do you think, Joshi?
I mean, we all knew that Moxley was going to retain, right? But I am happy at least that Hobbs looked really strong. Moxley had to cheat like 3 times to beat Hobbs, sorry. And yeah, like as long as they keep booking Hobbs strong, I'll be fine with that. But like I just really want to see him continue to show what a freaking amazing wrestler and monster he is, and as long as they book him well, I'm keeping my fingers crossed. He looked really good coming out of that match, so keep focusing on Hobbs, and you'll see, man. This guy's a star. He has the look. He's a really great wrestler. I know Moxley is a fan of his. He brought him into the company, so yeah, give Hobbs a really huge push, please.
Yes, and I think Hobbs is set up the right way now. He's meant to be a babyface. We all liked him as a heel, right? Like, I liked Hobbs a lot when he was a heel, okay? I always wanted him to win. So why not make him a babyface instead? But he's like a tough, badass babyface who's going to take no shit. And he's very hard to put down. That's all you need to do with him, okay? It's what they should have done with Wardlow forever ago. But I think Hobbs is better than Wardlow. And I think we're about to see that. So I thought that was great. I thought on the whole, Dynamite was a pretty solid show. The Gauntlet match was too short, but it was very, very good for what it was. All the women in that match were incredible. The only thing I absolutely hated was the Jarrett MJF thing. Let's get misogyny out of wrestling, guys. It doesn't have any place in wrestling or anywhere else. Don't tell me about heat. Okay, there's all kinds of things heels don't say for heat. Okay, and this needs to be added to that list. These guys are better than this. I demand better of them. And then, we have the return of the cleaner. We have the signing of Megan Bayne. Solid Dynamite overall. Let's just stop handing MJF a mic and going, go out there, kid, do what you need to do. He needs constraints. He does better with constraints. This isn't the MJF show.
I completely agree with you. Absolutely. Give us more women. Limit the older wrestlers. It's like when you've got Jarrett, Moxley, Jericho, Christian, Copeland all on the same show. That's too many.
Technically, Kenny.
Hey, no.
Hey, he's older than Mox. He's older than Mox.
Kenny, at least, Kenny's AEW. Let's not.
Mox is AEW. He was at Double or Nothing.
Yes, I know. Like, he is, but come on. The whole Death Riders thing isn't as strong as it should be, right?
You know me. I have to bend you till you break, Oh my. Okay. Well, Joshi, this has been a fascinating episode. I think a great exploration of critique and how it can help things improve. Okay. I'm an artist. You do artistic things. You understand that when people critique something, like especially somebody who really consumes a lot of whatever they're critiquing, and they have good intentions and well thought out ideas, they can make your thing better. Okay. It's not a problem to critique AEW. It should never be a problem. What should stop is this needless defensiveness over AEW. Just, block people if you don't like what they have to say. It's that simple. But don't be a reply guy. Don't get in there and do whataboutism. So anyway, enough of that. We have one more thing, Joshi. We've been saving this to the end. If you're listening to this over the weekend, Monday, January 20th, is a shitty day, generally, in America. Because that is inauguration day for a man I would really wish wasn't president. However, we have some good news. This channel, Sit Down, Shut Up, Mark Out, is growing by a show. And we're going to be on the first episode, but it's not hosted by either one of us. Brett Michelle, who co-hosted with me about a month ago, will be getting her own show, The Hard Way, with Brett Michelle. And it will premiere on Monday, along with some other big news that we have coming on Monday. That's a surprise. And we cannot wait for you to hear this show. We cannot wait to start making more content for you. We cannot wait to talk more graps with you guys. Brett is amazing. Brett has such a fun and unique charisma. I cannot wait for her to make her debut. Joshi, how are you feeling about it?
I am so excited for her. She's very charismatic, very artistic girl. And we have a lot in store for all of you, so stay tuned. I really don't want to spoil it. You're going to have to wait until Monday.
Yep, there you go. So, with that said, I'm Blade Daly.
I'm Joshi G.
Pro Wrestling Forever.